This is Andrew Meatrich. The British press just erupted. Every single major outlet is running the same story. Prince Andrew, younger brother of King Charles III, has officially given up all his titles, including the Duke of York. This is a royal bombshell, the final fall from grace. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through what every leading British newspaper is saying about this seismic shift inside the palace walls. I spent years inside one of the biggest media organizations you know. I watched how stories got shaped, how narratives got polished to protect the powerful, and I walked away. Now I work for myself, I answer to no one, and I tell you what actually matters. If you're here because you want the truth without the spin, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you believe in independent voices that aren't beholden to corporate interests or palace PR teams, consider becoming a sponsor. It means more than you know. Your support keeps this work alive. Let's start with the Times. They called it a fall from the heavens. That's the phrase they used, and they're clear about why this happened. Prince Andrew's long-standing ties to the late convicted offender Jeffrey Epstein, and now alleged contact with a Chinese intelligence operative. This isn't speculation anymore. This is the official record. The Daily Express adds an interesting detail. Andrew keeps the title of Prince. Why? Because he was born a son of the monarch. That's his by-blood. But his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson, she loses the Duchess of York title. That's gone. The Daily Telegraph quotes Andrew directly. He said he's putting duty to his family and country above everything else. And King Charles? He's reportedly pleased with the decision. But let's pause here. Is this really about duty, or is this about damage control? Because when you look at the timeline, the pressure has been building for years. The Daily Mail goes even further. Their headline? Andrew fell on his own sword. That's how they framed it. They say the king forced his hand. Relentless pressure from the top, and it's not just the titles. Andrew is also leaving the Order of the Garter, one of the oldest orders of chivalry in Britain. That's symbolic. That's stripping away centuries of tradition. The Sun uses the same language. Disgraced Duke of York. And they report that Prince William, the Prince of Wales, was also involved in convincing Andrew to step down. So this wasn't just Charles, this was a coordinated family intervention. Now think about what that means. The future king, the current king, both pushing one man out. That tells you how toxic this situation became. And remember, Andrew isn't just some distant royal. He's the Queen's son. He's Charles's brother. This is personal. This is painful. And it's public. The I newspaper reports that while Andrew and Sarah lose their titles, their daughters, Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, they keep theirs. Interesting choice. Protect the next generation, sacrifice the current one. Andrew does get to keep his residence at Royal Lodge in Windsor. That's thanks to a private lease arrangement with the palace estate. So he's out of the spotlight, but not entirely out in the cold. Now here's where it gets even more telling. The Financial Times, a paper that usually focuses on markets and money, they didn't even lead with Andrew. They went with something else. The meeting between US President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. This is their third meeting this year. Zelensky is asking for Tomahawk missiles. He's saying Washington has a chance to end this conflict. The meeting happened shortly after Trump spoke on the phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin. I'll be covering that situation in detail on Monday because the press is still digesting it. But the fact that the FT chose that story over the royal scandal, that tells you where the global priority sits right now. Geopolitics over palace drama. The Guardian chose a different angle too. Chancellor Rachel Reeves is saying she can't leave the benefit system unchanged. She's considering cutting tax relief for disabled drivers. That's a controversial move. But the Guardian also covered Andrew. They said the decision came after tense palace meetings. The king's inner circle reached a point of no return. That phrase keeps coming up. Point of no return. Point of no boiling. The king reached his limit. The Daily Mirror called it a royal bombshell. They say Andrew was reluctant. He didn't want to give up the titles. But the pressure from Charles was too intense. He had no choice. The Mirror also teased an interview with former footballer Paul Gascoigne. He's opening up about his battle with alcohol dependency. A different kind of fall from grace. A different kind of public reckoning. The Independent described this as an explosion inside the royal family. They say the decision was the result of pressure from the king after facts about Andrew's ties to Epstein became undeniable, and they remind us the late Queen already stripped him of His Royal Highness and all public duties. So this is just the logical conclusion, the final chapter. But is it really final, or is this just another attempt to manage the narrative? Here's what we know. Andrew is out. The titles are gone. The Order of the Garter gone. Public life over. But the allegations, the associations, the stain on the monarchy, that doesn't disappear with a press release. And the British public isn't going to forget. Even the Daily Star, which usually goes for humour, played it straight today. They used the same phrasing. Disgraced Duke of York. But with a twist. They noted that Duke of York is a common name for local pubs. A bit of dark irony there. According to them, the king reached his boiling point because of Andrew's involvement in matters tied to Epstein. The phrase boiling point is everywhere. That's not an accident. That's coordinated messaging. The palace wants you to know this decision came from the top and it was final. So where does this leave the royal family? Charles is trying to modernize the monarchy. He wants a slimmer, more accountable institution. And Andrew was a liability, a walking scandal, a constant reminder of privilege without responsibility. Removing him is a signal. It says, no one is untouchable, not even the king's brother. But let's be real, this isn't justice. This is public relations. Andrew isn't facing criminal charges. He's not in a courtroom. He's in a mansion in Windsor with a private lease. He's lost titles, not freedom. And for a lot of people, that's not enough. So here's the bottom line. Prince Andrew is no longer the Duke of York. The royal family is trying to close this chapter. But whether the accusations, the questions, the scrutiny, whether all of that actually stops, that remains to be seen. Time will tell if this decision satisfies the public or just delays the next wave of criticism. Before we wrap, let me recap what we've covered. The British press is unanimous. Prince Andrew has given up his titles under pressure from King Charles. The decision stems from his ties to Jeffrey Epstein and alleged contact with foreign operatives. His ex-wife loses her title, but his daughters keep theirs. He's out of the order of the Garter, but he keeps his home. The palace is calling it duty. The press is calling it damage control. And globally, other stories like Trump's meeting with Zelensky are competing for attention. So this is a royal scandal, yes. But it's also a moment of reckoning for an institution trying to survive in a modern world. What do you think? Was this decision fair? Was it enough? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them. And if you care about independent commentary that cuts through the official spin, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss Monday's breakdown when we dive into the Trump-Zelensky meeting and everything else shaking up the global stage. And if you believe in supporting voices that operate outside the corporate machine, consider becoming a channel sponsor. It keeps this work possible, it keeps me independent, and it keeps the truth coming. I'll see you Monday with fresh headlines and a full picture of what's happening not just in Britain, but around the world. This is Andrew Meet Rich. Have a great weekend.